And what about the helicopter?
On the scorched soil they once claimed as their conquest, the invaders now find themselves ensnared by the very ground beneath their boots. What was meant to be a fortress of occupation has turned into a trap of fire and steel, where every advance is met with ruin, and every retreat leaves only trails of blood. In a sharp escalation from the Zaporizhzhia front, Mariupol resistance channels report a dramatic influx of Russian casualties this morning. A Kamaz truck laden with severely wounded Russian soldiers, literally unloaded, arrived at a hospital in Mariupol after being evacuated from positions in the Zaporizhzhia direction. The exact origin point of the operation remains unconfirmed, but sources suggest the injured were transported from first-line units, likely after intense combat. Medical staff describe the wounded as critically injured, many suffering from traumatic injuries. Details of the attack that forced this evacuation, such as which Ukrainian units were involved or how the Russian lines were breached, are still emerging. The incident underscores the increasing intensity and mobility of this conflict sector, as both sides push forward in what remains a fiercely contested region. Ukraine turned its attention to Crimea, and in recent strikes, several Mi-8 helicopters were destroyed. Russian sources filmed the Crimean airfield Shkolny, where one of the helicopters was hit.
And what about the helicopter?
It's intact.
Lying there on the tree, there's the fuselage, and there's the fuselage.
For the first time ever, Ukraine's Huar primary unit destroyed 2 Russian B-12 Chaika anti-submarine amphibious aircraft during a strike in occupied Crimea on September 21st. These rare aircraft carry expensive sonar and tracking systems. A Mi-8 helicopter was also hit in the same operation. Occupied Crimea also faces a fuel shortage as major gas stations report no AI-92 and limited AI-95. Some stations introduced ration coupons and long queues are forming. Drone strikes on oil refineries are cited as the main cause, with shortages also spreading to over 20 regions in Russia. According to the latest data, Ukrainian strikes on Russian refineries have reduced their refining capacity by more than 30%. An apparent Russian espionage scandal is unfolding in the Dominican Republic after the arrest of a 25-year-old man who has been linked to Yevgeny Prigozhin's disinformation network. He has been linked to a recently exposed Russian network in Argentina. According to the Dominican Republic's Procurator General, law enforcement agents arrested 25-year-old Dmitry Novikov on 19 September during an operation in a villa in the Palmas del Sol, 2 residential area of Bávaro, La Altagracia, where he lived with his family. He is said to have run a cyber influence network, linked to the project known as Lakta, or the Company, based in Russia, and dedicated to the creation and dissemination of digital content focused on political disinformation campaigns and social media manipulation. These operations sought to influence public opinion, with direct impacts both in the Dominican Republic and other countries in the region, including Argentina and its current government. Novikov operated from the country with the intention of concealing the origin of the promoted content, leveraging local collaborators under the guise of a mixed martial arts athlete and concealing his Russian nationality, while receiving funding and direction from partners in the aforementioned project. Authorities have been able to verify that he managed his financial operations and international transactions through cryptocurrency wallets, using platforms such as Binance and digital assets such as Ethereum and Bitcoin. This mechanism was allegedly used to move international funds, concealing the source of the resources and facilitating illicit activities related to money laundering and transnational financing. During the operation, evidence was seized implicating the defendant in the sale and distribution of firearms, broadening the scope of the ongoing investigation. In June 2025, the Argentinian authorities arrested 5 Russian nationals suspected of suspicious activity in service of Russia's geopolitical objectives. Lev Andriashvili was said to head the local network by financing and cultivating contacts with local actors. His wife, Irina Yakovenko, was also arrested and was said to be involved in distributing materials on social media, creating focus groups, and gathering political information. The Argentinian authorities said that the case involved information classified as a state secret. The VCHK OGPU Telegram channel reports that according to a source, it was against this backdrop that Dmitry Novikov was arrested in the Dominican Republic, and Lev Andriashvili testified against him. Novikov is said to be the regional organizer of the Lakhta network. The network involves companies linked to the late Yevgeny Prigozhin that have carried out worldwide online disinformation and fake news campaigns, collectively dubbed the Troll Factory. It was based for a time near the Lakhta Center in St. Petersburg, hence the name. VCHK OGPU says that behind Novikov, the figure of his father, Mikhail, a retired military man involved in illegal business dealings with Venezuela, looms large. The channel describes Mikhail Novikov as a junior partner of Moscow area crime boss Sergei Romanov, nicknamed Count, who is closely connected to Russian intelligence agencies. According to VCHK OGPU, Mikhail Novikov previously served in the Russian Pacific Fleet in Kamchatka and now works in tourism in the Dominican Republic. The DR is an extremely popular tourist destination for Russians. Prior to 2022, 1 in 4 tourists there was from Russia. Leaked documents contain evidence of the connection between Novikov and Romanov. In his driver's license applications, Mikhail listed Count's phone number and the address of his estate in the village of Luchki. The picture is completed by photographs of Mikhail from the same area, where he poses against the backdrop of a hand-carved statue of Odin, commissioned for Romanov's restaurant Valhalla. Mikhail was previously involved in cashing and laundering money, and after leaving Russia, most likely forced, he also participated in arms and drug trafficking schemes linked to Venezuela. Count frequently visits the Novikovs in the Dominican Republic. Open sources and Mikhail's social media accounts contain numerous photographs with various famous guests from St. Petersburg, the city where the Troll Factory headquarters were located. Among his acquaintances are many people connected to military operations. Dmitry Novikov is said to be a Brazilian jiu-jitsu fighter who has competed in mixed martial arts. He lives with his father in Bavaro in the eastern DR, ostensibly working in tourism to arrange yachting, deep-sea fishing, hunting, and diving for visitors. He appears to have been arrested as he was about to flee from the DRV. KOGPU reports that he was granted the right to make one phone call and informed his brother that he was at Santo Domingo Airport, from where he was scheduled to fly to Istanbul that night, local time, presumably for subsequent extraction to Moscow. The channel comments, "If this is confirmed, then all the hallmarks of an emergency evacuation are evident. Novikov's transfer to Turkey and subsequent return to Russia. This resembles less a criminal prosecution than a coordinated operation to urgently remove him." Over the past week, Russia has launched over 1,500 drones, 1,280 glide bombs, and 50 missiles at Ukraine. Zelensky noted that more than 132,000 foreign components were found in this weaponry, originating from Europe, the US, China, Japan, and others.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comments section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week, it's 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.